If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. This African proverb has been one of the guiding principles for Harvest Hands over the last 15 years. As we began to work at Harvest Hands, we bought an old drug house that was on a 2-acre piece of land in the neighborhood, and we had to tear it down because it was condemned. And on that piece of land, we quickly went to work trying to build a community center that was beautiful, and we had this great vision, and it was going to look like the nature center out at Warner Park. And all of a sudden it hit us that we needed to press pause and slow down if we were going to go together with our neighbors. And that's actually when we came up with the phrase, on a journey together for wholeness in South Nashville. We realized that before we could have the great big community center in the neighborhood, we needed to build relationships and get to know our neighbors so that we could go far together. And so we began to invest time of getting to know folks and building relationships and understanding the value of not trying to go too fast. COVID has caused each of us to sort of press pause again. We pressed pause again with our programs. We had to slow things down. We had to scale back our after-school programs. We had to scale back the work at the coffee shop. And as we pressed pause the second time, nearly 15 years later, it was a little bit more difficult this time. This time wasn't so much about choice, but we were sort of forced to do that. Also, we wanted to make sure that we best cared for our neighbors, for our students, and for our families. And so we realized that if we were going to do that in a way that showed that we cared more about their health than even the shop being open here at Humphrey Street, we had to pull back. And there were some challenges with that, but we knew that sometimes doing the right thing is the difficult thing, especially in our neighborhood where the incidence of COVID is about twice as high as other places. I wanted to take an opportunity to share with you some of the ways that we adapted and pivoted this year in order to better serve our students.
After COVID, there were a lot of problems going on, and it was just a shock, a really big shock to me.
I missed out on experiencing senior year with all my friends.
My transition to the pandemic was kind of tough because it was virtual and I wasn't at school being with my friends.
Gaps already exist outside of this pandemic season, but these gaps are highlighted whenever we're all at the same level.
When we came together at the end of July, at the beginning of August, and was like, okay, what can we do moving forward, and made the decision to bring the kids in virtually. I think that was a big decision because it spoke to the fact that we care about their relationships. We care about the fact that they're very connected to us and that we play a big part in their lives, and wanted to make sure that in the midst of so many changes that they had some semblance of normalcy by being here.
When I came to Harvest Hands, I started getting better, more focused in school because I had more help with my school, and my grades started going up because I started having help that I didn't have at home.
At home, I have to think about it and by myself, and sometimes I don't get to ask for help, but here at Harvest Hands it's helpful because you got people around me who are older than me and who've done this stuff before, so it's really helpful.
I've helped with the elementary and middle schools with homework, or just with helping them assist how to work Schoology, how to submit their assignments, if they need help with anything basically.
Our core values kept us steady in this season as we were laser focused on what we did. We already know who we are, so by us lifting up our core values, that was really the North Star for us.
I think the last year or so without Harvest Hands would have probably been sluggish. I didn't have Harvest Hands, my schoolwork really suffered.
It's been an easy ride just being here, because when I'm at home, I have more opportunity to not want to do work. But when I'm here, I want to be up and learn and do all this other stuff?
I got 2 brand new students and they had some struggles and were not able to log on, so missed a great deal of school because of that. And they've come to us, they're now flourishing, they're logging in, they're grasping, their grades are going up, they're building relationships with other students, which are things they weren't able to do before they came to Harvest Hands. So I'm really excited about their progress and growth.
My behavior changed from being okay to being good, or I would say better. I've made straight A's or made B's again.
We're always going to link what we're doing to a core value and the mission of who we are, because if we do that, then we know that transformation will occur.
Through the years, we've always said at Harvest Hands that a lot of our work is like building a raft when we're in the water. And this water was water we'd never seen before. It was uncharted water. And we didn't know what the raft should look like now because we never faced a pandemic. And so everything we did over the last year was trying to figure out how to make it work, how to adapt. And we have grown a lot and learned a lot through it all. And we have also had to face our fears. At the end of the day, when the pandemic first hit, I noticed a lot of businesses and other nonprofits were shutting their doors, and I became fearful as well that we might become the next casualty of the pandemic. But I knew that our work mattered, and I wanted to do what we could to keep us staying afloat. We have seen that we have faced our fears, and we've felt supported along the way. There's this story, one of my favorite stories actually is a story that's in the Bible. And you may know it, it's the story of Peter and Jesus. Jesus comes walking out on the water, there's a storm, and Peter sees Jesus, and Jesus asks him to come and walk to him. And it's an interesting story. It almost seems so fantastic that it isn't true. But what happens is Peter walks out on the water to Jesus, and he begins to lose faith, it says. Now, a lot of people will take this story to mean that Peter lost faith in Jesus, and so he began to sink. And I think there may be some truth in that, but I really honestly believe that maybe the greater truth isn't that Peter lost faith in Jesus, that maybe he began to lose faith in himself. I mean, if you read the story, Jesus isn't sinking, right? And so Peter begins to lose faith that he can actually do what God is asking him to do. He becomes afraid of the storm and begins to sink. And I think that in many ways, the challenge for us over the last year isn't that we lost faith in God, because God's never left us. I mean, I've had a lot of questions for God over the last year, but to be honest, God has been faithful and has been with us. The struggle has been, how do we maintain faith in ourselves and what God has asked us to do in spite of a fearful time? And I believe that in the story of Peter and Jesus, that Peter had that fear and he lost faith in himself. And I think that one of the most challenging things in this life is to believe enough in yourself, to believe in us the way that God believes in us. And over the last year, in many ways, it's been learning to believe in the work and the kids and what we do at Harvest Hands and the way that God believes in us and believes in the work of Harvest Hands. That in spite of the fear, we don't have to sink. And I'm thankful for you all who have supported Harvest Hands in the midst of a year that's been very challenging. For those of you who have supported us and believed in us when we couldn't believe in ourselves, that's really helped make us, give us the strength to make it to the other side, to see the other shore. And so, when you could have hoarded your resources out of fear, you shared them. I mean, when you could have kept the toilet paper for yourself, you gave it away. And so we've been very fortunate to have people who have believed in us, and that has really helped us to believe in ourselves. And in many ways, the work of Harvest Hands through the years has been about trying to get our students and the folks we work with to believe in them the way that God believes in them. One of the things that brings me the greatest joy It's when I see students who believe in themselves and take pride in their work and the things that they do here. When students like Curtis, who is a barista at our coffee shop here at Humphrey Street, when he takes it on himself to become one of the best baristas in the city, and has developed pride in his work, and now he's training the rest of the staff on how to make drinks. It brings pride to me and to see those students take pride in their own selves, to believe in themselves. And when Ruben, who started with this as a kid, he is the head roaster at the coffee roastery, teaching other students about how to roast and how to develop products. He knows way more than I've ever known about coffee. When he takes that leadership on and teaches other people, it brings such joy to me to see those students take responsibility and rise up in a way that they give back to others. You know, over the past year, we've had some time to slow down a little bit, and as we did that, we did some rebranding of our Drink Good Coffee for a Change logo. And so we worked on that and finally got some stickers made. And I remember one day that I walked into the roastery, and there was a young man named Elgin, who is a young adult. He used to be a student, now he's a young adult. He does everything for us. He came up to me and handed me with pride one of the stickers that we had made because they were putting them in every subscription box. And I didn't have the heart to tell him that I already had one and that it was on my computer and I helped design it, because that didn't really matter. Not that I wanted to be dishonest with him, it was that I realized that he took pride in the work that he was doing. To be honest, the slogan, Drink Good Coffee for a Change, doesn't mean a thing if this student doesn't take ownership of it, because the work is about his work, about his change in the community. It's not about us. It's not about what we do. It's not about making a name for ourselves. It's about putting our students in a place where they can bring change to their own community. We've gone through a challenging year, and we are so thankful that you've been with us on this journey together for wholeness in South Nashville, that you haven't given up on us, that you've believed in the work of Harvest Hands and the mission. And I really believe when we say we're on a journey together for wholeness, that you are part of that together, that it's our community, but you're also part of that. And you've demonstrated that by investing in us when the resources may not have even been there. We believe we're rounding the corner on this pandemic, and that as we built the raft in the unknown waters, we're able to see the other side. We have some dreams that will be happening in the next year. One of those will be we're opening a second coffee shop on Broadway, and that'll open in July. We've been hard at work developing that, and you can see the progress of what we've done already. And that'll open on the corner of 6th and Broadway in partnership with the church down there, Nashville First Baptist Church. And that'll be able to provide about 3 times as many jobs for students in our neighborhood. And that's why we do this. Honestly, we do this in order to create jobs and develop pathways out of poverty, develop leaders in our neighborhood. And so we will do that, and then we'll also gain access to another portion of our building that was previously leased to a store, and we'll dream together with our neighborhood about what needs we have in our community and how we might be able to meet that together with them in our new space. And finally, as we grow, we are looking to open additional locations. We hope to open another location in a surrounding neighborhood that we serve. And I believe that what we've learned as we've developed grit and through the challenges of the last year, I think they will make us stronger for the next 15 years as we move forward. And I'm thankful that you have been with us and that you haven't given up and that you've believed in us in a way that's helped us to believe in ourselves. At Harvest Hands, we see the hope that's ahead, and we want to invite you to be with us on that journey. We have a link below that'll be to where you can give on the website. And also you could write a check if you wanted to and send it to the address that's there as well. We're thankful that you share your resources and that you believe in us enough to trust us with your resources to make a difference in our community. But as we close this time together, I want to close with a poem that one of my heroes, the founder of the Christian Community Development Association, a guy named John Perkins, that he often uses when he closes his talks. It's a poem that's meant a lot to me, and I think hopefully you'll see why. Go to the people, live among them, Learn from them. Start with what they know, build on what they have. But are the best leaders, when our task is done, the people will remark, we've done it ourselves. Thank you for being part of this journey with us, on this journey together for wholeness in South Nashville.